What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for listening to Your Ex-Drinking Buddy. My name is Brennan Tassif. I'll be your host. Subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcast. Check out the merch store at brennantcomedy.com/merch-store. And make sure you subscribe on YouTube as well. We'll put the shorts up there, the full video, the whole thing. Thank you so much for listening. I love it. I hope you love it. Subscribe on Patreon, too. We do bonus episodes. I do Tales from the Restaurant, where I talk about celebrities I've waited on and whether they're assholes or not, which is super fun. Also, we do a pre-show banter for my other show, Cheers from the Press Box with Joe Dorville. A lot of behind-the-scenes stuff going on over there, too. Make sure you just subscribe everywhere, just all over the place. I greatly appreciate it. And if you're not leaving the mean comments, thank you for that. Maybe leave a couple nice ones.
Grab me a beer and grab me a coke. We bout to sit for an hour, bullshit and tell jokes. And please don't mix it up, cause he done sobered up. Brennan T Comedy on your social media feeds. And Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. I am your host, Brennan Tassif. If you're new to the program, quick rundown of the show.
I am new to the program.
I used to be everyone's favorite drinking buddy. It was my favorite thing to do, hang out with friends, get drunk, do drugs, get in all sorts of trouble, and then reminisce about those crazy stories.
Yeah.
I am sober now, but it's still one of my favorite things to do, hang out with somebody, reminisce about the crazy old days. Most weeks I'll be joined by guys. This week is no exception. All the way, well, from New York City now, but originally from Las Vegas, Parker Tighe.
Hey, hello. How we doing? What's up,
dude?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good.
Good,
Plug
good.
everything up front before we get too far. Social media.
Social media is at Parker Tell Joke, ParkerTellJoke, at Parker Tell Joke on pretty much every social media. I'm at the Spar Ernie O'Malley's every Friday night. Jack's Comedy there Fridays, and then most Saturdays I'm on the 6 o'clock at the Comedy Shop. So come see one of those. Yeah.
Hell yeah. So
Yeah.
you are newer to New York.
I moved here in August, so it's like what six months ago?
6-7 months.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So you're originally from Vegas.
Born and raised in North Las Vegas.
insane.
It's a ridiculous city to live in. My parents are very irresponsible for raising me in that city. Big part of the reason I left Vegas was if I'm gonna have a family, my kids aren't growing up in Vegas.
So that's what I want to ask you. So you lived in like Vegas.
I lived in Vegas. I lived like with the strippers and the whores and the
Because I often hear about people living in Vegas, but it's always like I grew up in Daytona, but it's like I grew up in a suburb like literally just outside of Daytona.
Sure, yeah. So Vegas is a little different than other cities because like there's the city, and then once you leave the city, it's just immediately like the Mojave Desert.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's not
that
like a
makes
lot of like suburbs.
Yeah.
Like I guess like it's like suburban.
It is in a desert.
Yeah, it's in the middle of a really bad place. Humans shouldn't live in Las Vegas. I love Las Vegas. I love the state of Nevada. I'm very proud to be from there, but. Yeah, if we were starting from scratch, we probably shouldn't have people live.
Yeah, don't they have to get like all of their water?
Dude,
piped
it's a
in?
whole fucking. So I used to be a tour guide at the Hoover Dam, so I'm pretty well versed in that.
Yeah.
The water's a whole fucking thing, dude. The only source of water in that part of the country is the Colorado, and like 10 states share it, and everybody's at each other's throats over water rights, and
I could imagine.
Yeah.
Because it's a fucking desert.
It's the
a
driest
legit
place
desert.
on the planet, actually.
That's
yeah.
nuts.
Yeah.
How far are you from like Death Valley?
Death Valley's probably like a 2-hour drive from Vegas. Yeah.
So, growing up in Las Vegas, what is that? I mean, I assume my head immediately goes to, it's probably debaucherous and you're getting crazy all the time. But like, what is it really like?
As a kid, I would say, it's a relatively, I would say it's like when you're younger, like elementary school age, it's a relatively normal place. It's comparable like Phoenix. You know what I mean? It's very like, it's very different than the East Coast. Like it's very like it's a big city, give or take like 3 million people in Vegas, but it's very like spread out. Mm-hmm. Like it's a sprawly city, so you can't really like walk outside. You know what I mean? There's not like stuff to do outside.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant just because of the weather.
Oh, the weather's a whole. Yeah, the summertime you can't go outside because it's hot. But I mean, like if you're a little kid, like it's just like. There isn't a lot of like stuff to do that you can just walk to.
There's no
like you don't really have like a sense of mobility until you have a driver's. There's no public transit, right? So you have to drive everywhere you want to go, basically. Yeah.
So it's not like when you were a kid, you could just hop on your bike and like ride to like the grocery store. Or
I mean, you could,
but you wouldn't.
But you wouldn't. Yeah.
I got you. Which is weird because being in New York now, because we have public transit. I'm from in Florida, but it's not like it is in New York.
Dude, people from the city like to bitch and moan about the subway. I think it's magical.
Yeah.
You can take a train that goes underground and it goes underwater.
I have an entire bit about it.
Yeah, I think it's a magical place.
It's one of those weird things, and like the bit doesn't really work unless it's in New York. But it's like, do you think the engineers who were doing this like marvelous feat were like, hey, what about bathrooms? And they're like, Johnson, no, but this is a feat of modern marvel. No one will use the bathroom on the train. And now people are like jerking off in the subway.
Sure.
Like, because it's an entire city under the city.
Right.
Literally, there's
we have
stations.
a similar thing in Vegas. Do you know about the tunnel people in Vegas? So Vegas is really prone to...
We call them something different where I'm from.
Yeah.
Just
no,
kidding.
Vegas is really prone to flooding. So there's a lot of like flooding channels underneath the city. And they're really cold down.
I have heard about
So there's
this.
like tens of thousands of homeless people that live underneath the strip, and they're like mole people. That's what we call them, the mole people.
And do they come out?
They come out on occasion, and there's like one of the places they come out is right by the Vegas signs. There's a bunch of tourists down there taking pictures and just like
You'll just see people.
the Vegas homeless are different, dude. They make New York homeless people look like supermodels. Like,
really?
dude, they're the
Well, yeah, they're desert people.
The sun cooks them, dude. They look like bats. They got like leathery skin. Yeah, they're
that's
they're
crazy.
Yeah,
and they just live underground.
Yeah, they live underground.
So how does you? So I'm assuming because there is a rainy season, you have like what? Like
yeah,
one
like
month of rain?
in July it just rains a shitload and the whole city floods. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So growing up, because did you have like regular? And I only ask this because I ask people from New York this all the time as well, because like when I was in high school, I didn't attend them because I didn't have a lot of friends, but like they had like house parties and like stuff like that.
We actually had tunnel parties in my high
Did you?
school.
Okay, that's
so
what.
Where I went to school was near one of the tunnel entrances, and yeah, we would go down there and have like bonfires and shit like that.
Down in the how big are these tunnels?
They're
we're talking?
fucking huge. Like,
okay.
Like probably larger than this. Like an entrance to the tunnel would be like larger than this room. Like it's
Oh,
big.
okay,
Like you
okay,
can
so
get like
it's
a
not-
truck in there.
Yeah, because I'm thinking when you
like
say
people would drive down in the desert, and like if guys had like big trucks, they would like drive them down. You could like drive through the desert and down
okay.
into the tunnels, you know?
because I'm thinking like it's one of those things where it's like a reservoir.
No,
like where it's like this
I mean, it kind of is. It's a like that's the shape of it, I guess.
Yeah.
But like size wise, it's probably comparable like to like a train platform.
Oh,
Like, it's
okay.
about
That's
that. Yeah.
okay. That's what I figured.
Yeah.
So you guys, would you guys do? Because you lived in houses or apartments?
Houses. Yeah, Vegas is very low density, so yeah, pretty much everybody lives in a house.
Okay, so
Yeah.
would you guys also do house parties and stuff?
Yeah,
or
yeah,
was
we do
the
house
tunnels
parties.
the
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, house parties, desert parties. You go out to the desert and have
Yeah.
a bonfire or whatever.
Did that's insane to me
Yeah.
because I just didn't grow up in that kind of
Yeah, so
environment.
Vegas is weird because like there's the city and then
we would
this,
do beach parties.
Yeah, like this, the city ends like very abruptly. Like there's a house and a Walmart here, and then like the next block over is just the desert. So like,
Okay.
yeah, like it's very abrupt where the city ends.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like just from a logistics standpoint,
Yeah.
it's like you, as to your point earlier, it's like,
Yeah.
no one should be living here.
No.
This is a desert.
Yeah.
So were you getting into like growing up? Were you getting, because I want to ask you the same thing I ask all my guests because I normally have artists on, which is how you got into stand up and moved to New York and all that. But
Sure,
before I
yeah.
ask that, just living in Vegas.
Yeah.
Were you prone to like hookers and gambling and all that kind of stuff, or was it kind
a
of
little
detached?
bit? I think I'm less prone to that than someone who went to go visit Vegas. But yeah, I definitely like went through like right when I turned 18, I went like a little like strip club phase.
Okay,
and, like,
all
that
right.
kind
Well,
of
we'll
stuff.
come back to that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about doing stand up. You
Yeah,
started
sure.
in Las Vegas.
Yeah, so I used to see a lot of comedy growing up. Like my parents were both big stand-up fans. Like we would
Okay.
go to the clubs on the strip a lot and see
All right.
stand-up. So I got into like stand-up like as a fan at a very young age.
So your parents would take you like as a child. to
Yeah,
go
like I was
watch.
probably like 6 or 7. We went and saw Jeff Dunham at Caesar's
That's
Palace.
crazy. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That was the first one. I remember I very vividly, I was in first grade and we saw Jeff Dunham at Caesar's, and that like I was in.
So
yeah.
were you going to these big venues like
Yeah,
these,
I mean,
residencies
we'd
and
go to
stuff?
like the little club. Like, there's a cellar there. Like,
Yeah.
you go to like the little clubs.
I know there's a cellar. Brad Garrity has a club
Brad
out there.
Garrett. There's a lot of ones that opened recently. Like
Yeah.
Jimmy Kimmel has a club in Vegas now. Wise guy. There's 2 wise guys in Vegas. But yeah, when I was a kid, it was I guess the main place I'd go to see comedy was Caesar's. That was like where a lot of the
so
big,
those are big comics.
yeah,
too.
yeah, like this, like Seinfeld would come through and like
Yeah.
those kind of guys. Yeah.
So when you first saw it, like obviously your first memory is being in first grade and seeing Jeff Dunham.
Yeah.
Did it ever cross your mind like I want to do that?
Oh, almost immediately.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, really?
like,
Yeah, that's
right
awesome.
away. Yeah.
Did you show puppets? Did you ever get
I
a
had
puppet?
a puppet. I did have a
Did you
puppet.
really?
So I saw Jeff Dunham like at the beginning of my first grade year. So that would have been like, like September, October. And that Christmas, I had asked for a ventriloquist puppet. and I got one.
You got one.
It's at my I don't know where. It's at my parents' house somewhere.
Is it like a legit?
It's a legit it's like a Muppet kind of puppet.
Yeah.
It's like a felt puppet. Yeah, I had that and I like learned. I don't think I can do it anymore. But like when I was like in like first, second, third grade, I was like not like professional good, but like I was decent for an 8-year-old at ventriloquism at that age.
Could you like throw your voice?
Yeah,
and all that
I
stuff?
could. Yeah, I definitely can't do it anymore. But yeah, I was like that age. I was pretty decent
that's
at
cool,
it.
man.
Yeah.
That's like a cool. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it's something you grew out of, but that's
Yeah.
still like you were probably crushing in elementary.
Yeah,
school.
I was crushing so much poon, dude.
I
I was
just
all
mean,
over
like, on the
it.
playground
Oh
and
yeah, on the
stuff.
playground. Yeah.
People just being like, do the thing.
Yeah.
Because that's how it is in my family. I learned at a young age that I could manipulate my voice to like mimic.
Mm-hmm.
And so every holiday, my dad would have a couple pops and be like, do the De Niro.
Yeah.
Do the Pacino.
Sure.
So I couldn't imagine being in second grade with a puppet, being
Yeah.
able to throw your voice. People were probably eating
Yeah,
it
it was
up.
pretty cool. I think that doing that like got me hooked on making people
Public performance.
Yeah, it got me hooked at a young age. To
That's
do that.
awesome.
Yeah.
So when did you first get on stage to do stand up?
So that was my senior year of high school when I
Okay.
was 17. I had definitely wanted to do it at a younger age, but almost every comedy venue in Vegas is either at a bar or a casino or something. So they're all 21 plus.
Okay.
So I had to wait until I was old enough to pass for 21 and get a fake ID. So that was when I was 17 when I started
Okay.
doing that. So yeah, I got a fake ID.
Because you've had this beard for a while.
I grew the beard to look older when
Yeah.
I was like 16, 17. Yeah, specifically to go do
So
stand
wait,
up. Yeah.
you couldn't go to like one of the clubs and be like, "Hey,
No.
I'm a performer."
No, in fact, I think this is the first time I'll be publicly. I don't know. No one from Vegas is gonna watch it, but like, yeah. So like my friends, like
We're
yeah,
actually big in Vegas.
Okay,
No,
damn it, God damn it. Yeah, like my friends and the comics knew, but like the club owners still think I'm like, I don't know. I think I forgot what my
28
fake
now?
28. Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever my fake age is. Yeah, it would have been 4 years older than my real age. So yeah,
So 26, yeah.
I'm turning 23. So yeah, 27. I guess would be my fake age.
Well,
yeah.
that's nuts because I hear stories about young comics. Like I know Ralphie May talks about it. I know Chappelle talks about it.
Yeah.
Where like if you say I'm performing, and I've had comics
Yeah.
on this show where if you go up to the club owner and you're like, "Hey, I want to perform."
Yeah.
A lot of times club owners want to nurture that. And they'll
Sure.
be like, "Yeah, come on." But in Vegas, they're like, "Fuck no."
So the thing in Vegas is almost every open mic, especially now it's different because like there's Wise. When I first started, Wise Guys wasn't in
Okay.
Vegas yet. They're the best. If you ever in the Salt Lake or Vegas,
Shout
they're,
out.
they're the greatest. Anyways, when I first started, they weren't a thing. So pretty much every open mic was in a bar. And the thing about Vegas bars is every local bar is also a casino.
Oh, okay.
So they have slot machines. So they really cannot let underage.
So yeah, they
people in
couldn't
there.
even let you in there.
I
to
couldn't.
perform.
Yeah, I couldn't even go in there to like do my set and immediately leave, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
because
so.
that's. I mean, it's different, obviously, in the South where I'm from because
Yeah.
like nobody checks.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
like, spring
Vegas
break, like,
bartenders
cops
are
aren't-
really hardcore about
Yeah.
checking that because they can lose their gambling license and then the bar might as well be shut down once they lose that.
That's another interesting point. Is in New York they're very strict about because like
Yeah.
when I was coming up as a server in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
like especially for spring break and stuff, I'm not. If you've got the balls to like
Sure.
order a drink and go to pull out your ID,
Yeah,
I got you.
yeah.
Like
Vegas bouncers are like really good.
that they are in New York too.
Yeah.
Like they make such a big deal about like, did you check that table's ID? And
Yeah.
and now like I've
I
gotten
saw
into
some
the habit
kids
of
get
doing
kicked out
it.
of the Grizzly Pear a few weeks ago. They were like 19 or whatever.
Yeah?
they were just there to
Yeah,
watch
people
the show.
in New York
yeah.
are like, no, like if they catch you doing this, like
Yeah.
they'll shut the whole thing down. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, in Florida, we never gave a shit.
Yeah. Now that is a culture shock to me a little bit. Like I love New York a lot. It's been a lot of fun, but like I don't know, the government feels a little more in your business here
Oh,
than
yeah.
I'm used to.
A little bit.
Yeah.
There are a lot of more in your
You
business.
and I are both from freedom states. Florida
Yeah.
and Nevada are the freedom states.
Yeah, and
There's
here
a
they're
comic. I don't
very
want to steal
much-
her joke, but there's a comic back home very funny. She has a bit that Nevada is the only state where you can get an abortion with a gun.
Oh, that's dark, but that's funny.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like, I mean, being up here, it's so weird. And it's especially, I don't want to get political, but it's definitely one of those funny things where, like, if you jump a turnstile, a cop is very
Gonna
quick to
shoot you
stop
in the head, yeah.
yeah. But then also, like, they'll see someone, like, ODing and they just walk by them on the platform.
Sure, yeah.
It's like, oh, so you don't want to help. You just want to inconvenience
Yeah.
other people.
Yeah.
Like, you're not even,
Yeah.
what are you even doing?
Yeah, I to a certain extent, I get that some places are going to be different. Like, I know taxes here are going to be higher, but you get a lot more government services out here, like, the public transportation you're talking about. But yeah, there are certain like freedoms from Nevada that I do miss. I miss smoking cigarettes inside. That's the main thing.
You guys can smoke inside?
We smoke cigarettes inside still. Nevada's, I think some places in Jersey you can do it, but Nevada.
We don't even have it in Florida anymore.
Yeah, in Nevada you can smoke cigarettes inside. We still had smoking in like restaurants until like I was like 2010 or 12.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but yeah, you can smoke in bars still.
Yeah, so that's something that was a culture shock to me when I went to Oklahoma City. I lived there for like 2 months, 3 months, but it was a culture shock because it gets so cold in the winter that they have like sealed off parts of the bar that are smoking.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
So I was like, in Florida, we get away with it by a lot of the bars will have an outdoor space because it's Florida.
Right.
So you can smoke outside.
Sure.
So a lot of people would just like, you'd walk into a bar and you'd be like, it's empty. And then you look and it's like, oh, everyone's outside smoking.
Right.
So when you got into stand-up, you started at 17 as a senior in high school.
Yeah.
Was it like a talent show, or did you just get the fake ID and you went out?
So the very first mic I went to was October my senior year. That was I believe it was the only mic in Vegas at the time that wasn't in a bar, and that was at this coffee shop called Grouchy John's. That was a coffee shop mic. I went to that, and I think I didn't have the fake ID at that point, but then I shortly thereafter got it, and then I started going to all the bar mics.
How did the first set go?
I think it was better than, I don't know. I remember like going into it, like I said, I'd like watched a lot. I was a big Santa fan, so I kind of went into it knowing that nobody's good their first. Like I had low expectations myself. I think looking back on it, if there was a video of it, I would like want to shoot myself watching it. But I don't think it was terrible. Oh, you know who a good person has to be? You know Paco?
Yeah.
Paco's not from Vegas, but he lived in Vegas for a little bit, and he was at my first.
Oh, really?
Paco was there.
Oh, wow.
I very distinctly remember him. You know how like new comics don't know how to hold microphones?
Mm-hmm.
So I was holding the mic like down here by my chest, and I have a very vivid memory of Paco going like this, like gesturing me to move the mic up. Yeah, that was like my first. They
do the mic down here, and then they'll do the lasso, as Chris Buck famously calls it, the cord lasso.
Yeah.
Well, they'll just start wrapping the cord around,
Do you ever notice when they'll put the mic stand like at the same like depth as them, and they'll hold on to it and like move it back and forth? Yeah.
Which is an interesting thing because I've seen Burr lean on the mic stand.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, that's like a cool thing.
I think it's like one of those like you have to know the rules to break them kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Because then when I would try to do it when I first started, I was like, oh, this is like a crutch. There's quite literally a crutch that I'm holding on to. I wanted to ask though, because this is something that I dealt with as someone who's like obsessed with comedy at a young age, and like I would watch everything, and I still love stand-up.
Yeah.
Did you go into that first mic like no? Because like I immediately knew what to do with the mic stand just from watching so much comedy. Like I knew how to hold the microphone. Right. I knew how to do like stage presence and move around because Dane Cook was the reason I started stand up. So like I moved around the stage like Dane would pace around.
Right.
So did you have that, or were you very much?
I think I had some like vague understanding, but the comics I like grew up watching that I really like was a big fan. Like my big one is Norm Macdonald, and he's like a standstill guy. You know. So yeah, I think. If I had been like a big like rock fan or whatever, I think I would have had a little bit more of an idea of like, walking around the stage and all that.
Because you stand still now.
I stand still now. It depends on the bit, but 9 times out of 10 I'm standing still.
Yeah, because you're just very much like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, here's the jokes. These are the jokes, people.
And it's interesting because I've had obviously like my dad, love him to death, but he came to see me when so I started in 2009, but when I first got back into it, when I got sober at 18, he came to a show in like late 2018, and I remember he was like, yeah, your stage presence is really good. Now if you could just get someone like because he was in a lot of bands, he's like, if you could just get someone to write you some jokes. And I was like, what are you talking about? I write all my own stuff. He's like, yeah, but I'm assuming it's like a band, like, oh, you and all your friends get together and you like kind of like piece stuff together. And I go, no, I do all this by myself. And he goes, yeah, maybe you should treat it like a band where you all get together.
That's funny. I love bringing my dad. I love bringing my dad to comedy shows. My dad's been to a couple shows. My dad's been to a few roasts that I've done too. My dad doesn't is not a performer at all. He's like a plumber, but he just has some fucking like lines that are hilarious sometimes. He always likes to talk shit about the other comics on the show with me after the show. He's like, that guy, I don't want to say his name because he might watch, but he's like, my dad's like, yeah, that guy fucking sucks. And he's like the headliner of the show that night. My dad's like, yeah, that guy fucking blows.
Because my dad was in bands and stuff, he was like, it was, what is it? The Path to Virgins in the Wood kind of a thing. He ended up getting married and have a family, but my dad rips on the guitar. Like my dad is like a great guitar player.
Yeah.
So he often we'll get into that whole thing where it's almost like a vicarious vicarious, like,
Yeah,
hey,
sure.
if I would have gone to New York and I would have pursued that. So we'll talk. And he's so supportive and he's super like cool about it. But it's also very funny because comedy is so different than music.
Yeah.
Where he's like, why don't you just do this? And it's like, I can't just do like, why don't you just get on the Tonight Show? It's like, that's not how that works.
Yeah. I remember, I think it was my grandma, it was one of my older relatives, was like, you know what you ought to do when you go to New York? You got to audition for SNL.
It's so crazy too because I've had people on who have like managers and agents and stuff,
Yeah.
and they just blow past it. They're like, "Yeah, so I was doing this, and then I got an agent." I'm like, "That's really hard to do. Like, we should talk about what that was like."
Yeah.
because it's so difficult
Well, I
to
should
find
say
someone.
it's difficult to find a good agent.
That's
like,
true.
I have
100%. Yeah. See,
yeah, but like, yeah, she's all right, I guess.
Well, and also a lot of
she
it is
just gets me commercial work every once in a
Yeah.
while, not a comedy agent.
well, and it's interesting too because I have friends who have like comedy managers and agents, but they're all like friends of their family.
Sure.
So they're like, yeah, it's my dad's best friend from high school or my mom's, sorority sister.
Yeah.
So then they rep them and they get them on stuff, but I'm like they even know they're like, I have no business with this person at all.
Right.
So you do the first mic and you had low expectations and it goes well enough.
It goes well enough for me to do it again.
Yeah. So when you get the fake ID, are you at all concerned about like?
Terrified.
Are you using?
I was terrified for 18, 19, 20, 21, 4 years of my life. I was constantly anxious. Yeah.
So how does it work? Did you get one where it's like they took a picture of you and like made it, or did you borrow one from a friend? Or?
So a buddy of mine, friend of a friend, was a fake ID like salesman.
yeah.
Like he was a fake ID guy. Like that's what he did was get, fake IDs for high school students to go buy beer. Meanwhile, I was getting a fake ID to go to open mic comedy, right? So yeah, I sent the picture and then he made the ID for me. And he said you definitely want to get an out of state ID because
Yeah.
bartenders are less likely to recognize an out of state ID. So I got an ID for Washington State, which is where my mom was from, and I picked my mom's hometown as the address. Like,
okay.
My thought was like, just in case a bartender happened to be from Washington, I knew enough about this particular town to like pretend to be from there if I had to. So
it's a classic burn notice line. You want your lie to mimic the truth as closely as possible.
Sure, yeah. So I got the fake ID with the Spokane address, and I was terrified for a while. I didn't really mind about like getting kicked out.
Are they scanning it or are they
yeah,
lighting
dude,
it?
my
Like,
ID was legit. Like
That's what I'm
it
at, yeah.
scanned. Yeah, like I would go to the dispensary with it. Like it was.
Get the fuck out of
Yeah, it
here.
was like a really good. It's at my parents' house somewhere, but yeah, it was like a really good fake ID. I only got caught with it once, and that's because I was an idiot. I took it to a bar on Fremont Street.
Yeah.
which is like it's like the second tier strip in Vegas, and
the old school strip. Isn't that
yeah,
what
it's like
everyone
old
calls
Vegas
it?
they call it, like downtown Vegas. Yeah, and that's like the actual like city part of
That's
Vegas.
where like the big light thing
Yeah,
is.
the
and
art, the canopy, the zip line,
the zip line.
So I
that's
took it to a bar there, and that was just fucking stupid. Like, because the bartenders there are like they're dealing with tourists, so they're like the bouncers at the Strip and Fremont bars are like the best bouncers in the world. Like they're comparable with like Manhattan bouncers, and yeah, they clocked it. That guy was
How did
funny.
they clock it? It sounds like this guy was an artist who made
Dude,
it.
okay, so here's how they clock it. They're the type of plastic that
Get the fuck out of
literally,
here.
they didn't even scan it. The guy just looked at the type of plastic it was and was like, yeah, that's fake. So no one else ever even suspected anything but this one bouncer on Fremont Street. It's at what bar was it? It's at the Griffin on Fremont Street.
Fuck the
fuck
Griffin, man.
Fuck the Griffin. No, they were fine. I mean, yeah, I was the one breaking the law.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was there with a girl, and it was pretty embarrassing. It was very embarrassing. But anyways, the guy.
Was she older?
No, yeah, she was like 25. Yeah,
Yeah.
she knew how old I was, but yeah, she was like a couple years older than me, and it was very embarrassing.
That's
the guy extorted me, and he gave me my ID back for like $40 or whatever. Yeah.
We used to do a trick, and someone in my family taught me this, but when you were underage in Florida, because like they don't care that much, was to
They
put
send you to Epstein's Island.
no, not if you got to be way underage. To do that. But you would put money. I don't want to say who taught me this, but they taught me to put money under the ID.
Sure.
So like you would take a 20, fold it up, put it under your ID, hold it with your thumb, and then when they'd ask for your ID and you'd go to hand it to them, they'd take the money out, and they go, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And like that's how when I first got to college, it was either that or like just the whole, because I played college football, the whole football team would be going and they just didn't ID
You're with the big
anybody.
giant crew. They're not going
Yeah,
to ID everybody.
that's how we got away with it on Bourbon Street. When we played in the New Orleans Bowl, there was like 30 of us coming into a bar.
They're not going to ID everybody.
Yeah, and the seniors would show their IDs and they're like, all right, whatever, just everyone come in.
Right.
Because they just want the money.
Sure.
But in Vegas, they're like, no, we're printing money.
Yeah.
We don't care about that.
Yeah,
we're not going to
exactly.
get shut down.
Yeah.
So when did you first start drinking?
Oh, I was never really a huge drinker.
Okay.
Like, I would drink at parties in high school. I probably, I don't know, like sophomore year of high school.
Were you a popular kid?
Not really.
Okay.
I think, like, I was popular in the way that, like, I went to a really big high school. Like,
Yeah.
I think there were, like, 1,000 kids in my graduating class. Like, it was, like, a
Okay,
really big
that's a
school.
big one, yeah.
I
I always think I have a big one and it was only 529.
I was popular in the way that, like, everybody knew who I was, but I
Yeah.
wasn't, like fucking bitches. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I was popular. Like, I was on the morning announcements. You know what I mean? I was like, everyone knew
Born
me.
to be a star.
Yeah, I was the guy from the morning announcements, dude. Everybody
the name of the episode.
everybody wants to fuck the morning announcements guy.
The guy from the morning announcement. So you were still going to parties and stuff, though?
Yeah.
Because you say it like that, but I was on the football team and I still wasn't going to parties. I was bullied mercilessly.
But I was also hanging out. Like, my high school was weird. This is a thing a lot of people don't know about Vegas. It's a lot of Mormons. Like, there was like basically like two sets of like social groups.
Yeah.
In my high school, like it was like half Mormon kids, half not Mormon kids. Like, all the Mormon kids hang out with each other, and they were like, I guess, like the traditional like popular kids.
Really?
They were like the ones that were on like the student council and
Yeah.
like the prom queen, like all like the principal.
mean girls, yeah.
Like they were the mean girls, were the Mormon girls, right?
Okay.
But yeah, I hung out with like potheads and.
What did your
yeah.
parents do that they were in Vegas?
My dad was born in Vegas, or my dad was born in Buffalo, but moved to his parents moved to Vegas when he was really young.
Oh, okay.
My dad's a plumber, and so is his dad. So his dad moved from Buffalo to Vegas when.
So your dad was just in Vegas?
His dad got a gig building the plumbing for when they were first building the Strip. So my
that's
grandfather
awesome.
did a lot of the plumbing.
So you have like roots in Vegas.
Yeah. So you
built that city.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my grandfather did the sprinkler system on the original MGM after it burned down. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they had to redo the fire suppression system. Yeah, my grandfather.
He's
did
like,
that.
hey, who'd you have doing this last
Hasn't
time?
burned
huh?
down since.
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
yeah, no. You want someone done right. You don't get to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So and then my dad got into the same business, and then my mom moved there when she was in her 20s because she's a teacher, and that's just where there were.
So
jobs.
the reason I ask, obviously, is the first thought everyone's having who's listening was entertainment, something like that. But they're just regular.
Yeah, my dad's a plumber, my mom's a school teacher. A lot of people in Vegas do work in the vast majority of people in Vegas work for the hotels and sort of
that's
one way
true.
or
You
another.
do need people to.
But like, even if you don't work directly for the casinos there, you kind of work like adjacent to them. Like my dad is a plumber, but the majority of the plumbing jobs he does are at the hotels on the Strip.
Yeah.
My girlfriend's dad is a knife sharpener, and he works at the Wynn's kitchen, one of the hotels, and he just sharpens kitchen knives all day. Yeah. So there's a lot of like entertainment and hospitality like adjacent.
Yeah,
jobs.
that's true because
Yeah.
the city still needs to run.
Yeah.
Like, you still need people to go out and do construction
Sure.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So you weren't, from what you're saying, like you weren't really a big drinker and stuff. That obviously must have helped you with comedy because you weren't going to the bars with your fake ID, getting hammered, and then getting on stage. You were just focused on comedy.
Yeah, like I'd have a beer on
Yeah.
occasion, but I wasn't like a drinker. I smoked a lot of pot in high school.
When did you start smoking?
Sophomore year, so I was like 15.
Is that a big thing in Vegas?
I
I know it is in California
among
and New York.
my social circle, yeah, pretty much everyone I hung out with.
You mean
in
the
high
guy with the beard?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much everyone in my social circle in school smoked pot.
Okay.
That was like the main thing I did was smoke pot. I did a lot of acid too when I was in high
Okay,
school.
let's talk about it. You had a
that-
story that you sent me about taking acid.
Yeah, that was one of the
When
wildest.
did you start taking acid?
I started taking acid my junior year of high school, and I did a lot of it for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah?
and then I haven't done.
Did you like love it or?
I really liked it for a while, and then I didn't. You know what I mean? It very like I'm done. Anyways, the fucking the story it's one of the wildest nights of my life. It was the summer between my junior and senior year of high school, and me and a bunch of my buddies all met up, and I think there were like 5 of us there in total, and 3 of us were on acid. I took 3 tabs acid. One of my buddies.
Why not?
Why not? One of my buddies took 4 tabs acid.
That's
why
too
not?
much.
That's too much. And then the final friend took 5 tabs of acid. Way too much. Anyways, we're hanging out.
Oh my god!
And it's also like 3 in the afternoon, right? You know what I mean? So it's like 3 in the afternoon. We're in our other friend's house. So yeah, we were with 2 other friends that were sober that were gonna look after us, right?
Yeah.
And we're at one of the sober friends' house, and we're just chilling in her living room, and then an earthquake happens.
Is this common in Vegas?
No.
So you guys have no idea.
We have no idea what's going on. I was sitting on her bedroom floor, and she had like a shag carpet rug, and I was like tripping out, playing with the shag carpet, and then I started to feel the ground go up and down.
Oh my god!
And I was like, wow, this is really good acid. And then when I knew that it was something else, is I could see down the hall her parents also like noticing the ground moving. So I'm like, okay, it's probably an earthquake, right? So I was fine enough, but the friend that took 5 tabs of acid was freaking out after that.
So wait, her parents were home?
Her parents were home. They did not know we were on acid.
Okay,
though. They were. Yeah, we were.
Where did you get acid from as a sophomore or a junior in high school?
From a drug dealer. Where else do you fucking get acid from? Acid's a really cheap drug. It's super affordable.
No, I just don't know how
you can trip your balls off for 12 hours for like $10.
I don't know how you would gain access. I mean, I guess I do.
I mean, the same guy that sold me pot sold acid too.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that checks out.
There's a big overlap between there's a lot of I call them ethical drug dealers. They only sell weed and mushrooms. And there's a lot of those guys. So,
well, that's what I was thinking because I've snorted heroin, but that was when I was in my 20s, and it was I had to go through certain people that I would not know in high school, these shady ass people to get to it. So that's why I was kind of confused, because it was well, if you know a drug, we all had that buddy that sold pot in high school, but I just didn't put 2 and 2 together that they would also be dealing in high grade hallucinogenics.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that might be a Vegas thing, but I could have gotten coke whenever I wanted when I wasn't I wasn't doing coke in high school, but I could have.
But that wouldn't have been the ethical drug dealer.
Yeah, that would have been the unethical drug dealer. I also knew that guy.
Yeah. That's just are you just finding these people through friends at school?
Yeah.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah. And then later,
somebody's mom's a stripper at that high school.
Yeah, there were a lot of bad parents. And my parents are great. I love them. A lot of absentee parents in Las Vegas.
To the contrary of what we were talking about earlier, you do need people to make Vegas run, but you also need people to entertain in Vegas.
Yeah.
And those are terrible people.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the running bit about Vegas is a lot of the people who live there are just a couple will get divorced, and it's the shittier half of the family moves to Vegas. Yeah.
That checks out.
Yeah.
So what happens to the friend on 5 tabs?
Okay, so we're doing 5. He drops 5 tabs during the earthquake. He's starting to freak out and be visibly tripping, and we're at our friend's parents' house at 3 in the afternoon. So we're okay, we got to get the fuck out of here. At the time, out of the friend group, I was the only one with a driver's license, and I was tripping, so I couldn't drive. We were trying to get somewhere else. So
just out of that
we needed to get out, right? So we call up our other buddy who lives down the street to come pick us up, and his parents happened to be out of town at the time. So we were like, hey, dude, you need to come pick us up fucking now.
Yeah.
So we are trying to get our 5 tab friend, I'm going to call him Joe. So all right. We tried to get Joe from the house that we're in out to our other buddy's car. And we're walking him out there. As soon as we close the front door behind us, he projectile vomits all over the front driveway.
Is that a thing that happens with acid?
To him, I guess. I don't know. It never happened to me. So he fucking projectile vomits all over.
Joe.
Yeah, no, what a bitch, dude. He projectile vomits on the fucking driveway.
Right on the driveway.
Yeah, on the driveway.
Not in the stones, not in the grass.
Yeah, right on the fucking driveway.
On the driveway.
Well, we don't have grass in Vegas.
Yeah, that's why I said stones.
The rocks.
Is that what you guys have in your yard?
Some people have grass. I'm politically very against people having grass in Vegas. I think it's fucking insane.
Because it's not.
It's wasting water. It's actually crazy. I had rocks in my front.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
Most people, when I see pictures of houses in Phoenix and stuff, it's like a rockscape.
Yeah, it's rocks.
Mulch.
People have desert landscaping.
Yeah.
You can grow palm trees there. Yeah.
So he just throws up onto the driveway.
Yeah, he throws up on the driveway, and we're we'll fucking deal with that later.
Sorry, Mary. You have to hose that off. We're out of here.
We're out of here. We got to bounce. So we fucking throw him in, and at this point, he's flailing his arms around and being uncooperative.
You're never gonna take me.
No, exactly. Yeah. So we.
What was he thinking? What's going on? Is he verbalizing what he thinks happening?
In hindsight, I don't think at the time he was, but I remember later him saying that he thought that the earthquake made him think that the world was ending.
Okay.
It was a nuclear apocalypse kind of situation that he was in, right? So he's flailing his arm. He's like resisting arrest, basically, right?
Yeah.
And so
We've all been there.
and yeah, right. And so we open up the car door to try to like push him in there, and he's not wanting to get in. So the friend that was on 4 tabs of acid like tackles him and shoves him into the back seat of our buddy's car, and then we just take off driving down the street to our other friend's house. And then we're on like one of the big, like not like a residential road, like a commercial street in Vegas, and
Like a freeway.
like not quite a freeway, but like a big,
Okay, I gotcha,
like
I
an
gotcha.
avenue.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, gotcha.
And then the friend that's on 5 Joe, friends on 5 tabs, we kind of like let our guard down because he had like started to calm down once he was in the car, so we like kind of let our
We're
guard.
driving, the world's not ending, everything's okay.
Yeah, he's starting to calm down a little bit, and we let our guard down, and as soon as we let our guard down, he jumps out of the car, like opens, and then takes off running down the street.
Oh my God.
So we had to go get him again.
Yeah.
So we pull into a park, and we have to go get him again. Get him back in the car eventually.
Where is he? Does he keep running?
So we were right
Does
next to
4 tab have to tackle him again?
if I remember correctly, at that point, the sober friends like were able to kind of coax him into the
Yeah.
car at that other point. But yeah, we were like in a park. He like ran through a park, and like we went and got him.
You'll never take me alive.
Yes.
Just kids on a swing set.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, we get him back in the car. We eventually get him to the buddy's house, whose parents are out of town, and
Oh yeah, you're not even at the house yet.
yeah, we get him to the house with the parents who are out of town. And he's still freaking out. He's, running through the house. He's throwing glass bottles around and like breaking shit. And we're like, sorry. Our friend that picked up, we're like, sorry, man. And this whole time,
We told him it was way too much.
yeah, we told him, all right. But at this point, like, I'm like visually. Have you done acid before?
No.
I'm like, so I'm getting all of like the visual stimulation of acid, but all of like the mental, like, ooh, I'm tripping stuff. It's completely gone for me at this
Yeah.
point because I'm like so worried about about
you're
Joe.
in like a panic.
Yeah, I'm in like a panic mode, right? So we're at the house for a little bit, and then they're all in the living room, like trying to calm him down. And I was like, "Hey guys, I'm tripping really hard right now. I need to get away from this for a couple minutes. I'm gonna go take a walk, sit in one of the other bedrooms." And they're like, "All right, yeah, that's fine." So I go like around the corner upstairs, something like that, and I see in the house a very elderly Mexican woman. I saw an abuela, okay? And she looked, while I was tripping, she had like she looked like a specter.
Yeah.
She looked like a ghostly figure.
Like a wraith,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so I went back to the group of friends and I told one of the sober ones, like, "Hey guys, I think there's like an old Mexican woman over in this
Is your friend Mexican?
yeah, he's Mexican.
Okay,
yeah, I
okay.
was like, hey guys, I think there's like an old Mexican woman in this room over here. And one of the sober friends goes, "Parker, you're tripping. Shut up." And so I'm like, all right, I guess you're right. I guess I just am hallucinating the old Mexican woman.
Well, because that's the one thing I always steer clear of psychedelics for was because everyone was like, "Oh, you need to be in a good headspace." So
Yeah.
acid, mushrooms, all that stuff. And I live in a dark, dangerous neighborhood
Yeah.
headspace. Like
Yeah,
I have
so
my
yeah, you
anxiety,
probably
my
shouldn't-
depression.
yeah.
So I always was like, I've done cocaine, I've done crack, I've done heroin, I've done obviously drank an excessive amount, but I
Yeah.
always stayed away from psychedelics because I was like, oh, I'm going to be the guy who like eats someone's face or something.
Sure.
Because like I
yeah,
just
if you
live in a
are
dark.
anxious, I would
Yeah.
not recommend psychedelics at
So
all.
I've always steered clear from that. But what I've learned from doing this show and from like talking to people who have done it, it's very much like it just kind of expounds on what you're already seeing.
Yeah, so
You don't see things that are not there
yeah,
necessarily.
and mentally, acid and mushrooms are a little different. I would just have you ever were you smoking pot ever?
No, I mean I have.
Okay,
yeah.
have you ever smoked like a weed pen, like a dab?
No, I've never done that.
So I would say like the difference between like acid and mushrooms is the same as like regular weed versus doing a
dabs.
dab.
Yeah, yeah.
Like mushrooms is regular weed. It's like a natural chill
Yeah, and
high.
one is
and then acid's
chemically created.
Yeah, acid's like 0 to 60. you know.
Okay.
So anyways, yeah, the friends are like, yeah, Parker, you're fucking tripping. There's no abuela in the other room. Shut up. So I'm like, all right, you guys are right. I'm the one who's high, whatever. And then a couple minutes later, the abuela comes out, and yeah, our buddy whose house we were at forgot that his grandma was not on the trip with his parents.
Oh no.
Yeah, so we have a guy fucking screaming and throwing shit around.
So she was just sitting in the other room.
Yeah,
like
and then she comes out to see like what all the fucking commotion's about. And thank God she didn't speak English. So our friend whose house we were at told her in Spanish that he was retarded.
Oh, really?
And she bought it. And
yeah, Mexican grandma.
yeah. So and then she left us alone after that. And then so this
I can't believe her next question is, why are you friends with him? Like, this
there was no follow-up question.
Well, but not even like that. Like, it's just because he's being super aggressive. So it's like, why would you be friends with? Like, I don't care, challenged or not. If you're throwing shit and breaking shit, I'm not inviting you to my house.
Right. So at this point, he's still being loud, obnoxious, and we're like, dude,
Now we gotta get out of here.
Yeah, now we gotta get out of here. So we were really close by to the middle school we all went to. We're right next door. Shout out Lead Middle School, North Las Vegas.
What's up, Lead?
Yeah, shout out Lead Middle School, North Las Vegas.
L-E-E-D?
Yeah, L-I-E-D.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
Different
named after the
spelling,
Lead family.
Okay.
They were like, I don't know, they did something. I don't know.
They didn't. You know what they didn't do? They didn't save the MGM from getting burned
They didn't
down
do
again.
that. Fuck yeah. All right. So anyways, we walk him down the street because they've got this big giant baseball field out behind the middle school. So our high idea was like, let's let him run around.
It's got to be like 4 o'clock now. 5
It's
o'clock.
at this point it's dark. It's
Okay, so no one's
it's
at the school.
Yeah. No, this is also during summer break.
Yeah,
So
okay.
there's no one there. Yeah. So at this
Oh,
point,
you did say that junior to senior year.
yeah, it's the summer between junior and senior year. Yeah. So yeah, it's like at this point it's like 7 p.m. I think we took the acid at 3. So yeah, this would be like 4 or 5
So
hours.
you still
later.
got a couple more hours.
Yeah,
going.
still got some more hours going, and then he's still freaking out. So we're like, all right. Here's our game plan. We're gonna take him over to the baseball field at the middle school and let him run around and be free and be all crazy and get his energy out.
Yeah.
Right.
Like a dog.
Like a dog, right? So we take him over there.
He's got the zoomies.
Yeah, he's got the zoomies. We take him over to the mills and we're like, all right, Joe, go fucking
Run it off.
Run it off, dude. Go take a lap. Take some laps. And
Go
then
take a lap.
yeah. And then this is where the night got officially very crazy. He stripped his clothes off.
Of course. I was
naked.
waiting for that.
Yeah, he took his clothes off and
In
ran
fact, when you talked about him running through the park, in my mind, he was already naked.
yeah, so when he got to the middle school, he took his thank God it was summer break, dude. He took his clothes off in the
that's a lot of felonies.
Yeah. That's honestly the main thing we were worried about was him getting away and then getting shot by the guy. That's the main thing we were worried about that night was
because that's what in my head. That's what I keep thinking is because everyone carries in Vegas.
yeah.
So it's one of those things.
Yeah, no,
where,
we were worried that
you
he was
turn a wrong corner, someone's gonna just blast you.
100%. Yeah, Vegas is a very big gun culture city.
Yeah.
And if you walk into somebody's house in Vegas, you walk on their property line, they can just fucking kill you. No questions asked.
It's the
So,
same in Florida.
Yeah, so that's what we were worried about was him doing
Running onto the wrong
running onto the
street,
wrong street and getting shot, right? That's what we were worried about. So anyways, we take him to the middle school, he takes his clothes off, starts running around. And then we let him run around naked for a while. He eventually kind of calmed down.
Fully naked?
Fully naked.
So his pee-pee's just out?
Cock out. I think he kept his socks on. Actually, no. Now it's bringing back memory. Do you remember the old meme back in the day where it's not gay if you keep your socks on?
Yes.
Do you remember that? So he was saying that, and he's naked.
As
but
he's just running around.
yeah, he's like, it's not
Not
gay.
gay because my socks are on.
Yeah. So yeah, he's running around with the socks on, everything else naked, and then eventually he kind of starts to calm down. And when we took him back to
Did he close him back? Put his
we
clothes back
eventually
on?
I think we got his clothes back on, and
Okay.
then we took him back to the buddy's house with the abuela. At this point, he was kind of calm. Now when we're back there again, he's still he's not actively breaking shit and running around anymore, but he's still being ooh,
You just walk in
yeah.
and your friend's sweeping everything up. He's like, no. Get him the fuck out.
Yeah, so we brought him back. That friend was being very nice to us that night.
Yeah.
So we brought him back there. He's still being a crazy acid person, but he's not at that point he's not an active danger to himself. So, and then this took us way too long to figure out. We got the genius idea towards the end of the night while he was still being crazy to make him talk to his mom on the phone.
Okay.
So we call his mom and we make him talk to his mom, and then he immediately sobers the fuck up.
Oh,
When he's
yeah,
on
I
his
didn't
mom-
even think about
Yeah,
that.
so he's on the phone with his mom and he immediately sobers the fuck up.
Wow.
Yeah, so
if you would have
that's-
just done that from jump.
In hindsight, that's the first thing we should have done is taken to his mom's house.
Yeah, because especially drugs like that affect your brain.
Yeah.
I'm sure hearing a voice, a soothing voice like your mother's.
Yeah.
And also a threatening, oh, I don't want to get in trouble kind of a thing would
Sure.
snap you right back into it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people I've had on the show talk about that with cops.
Yeah.
We're as soon as the cop showed up, I was like, oh, no. And I'm like, oh, I always had the opposite. As soon as cops showed up, I'm like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting. I wonder what would have happened had my mom called me in those situations.
Well, I think if you're alcohol would have a pretty different effect because I don't think you can you can't really snap out of being
that's
drunk.
true,
You
yeah.
you can kind of snap out of it.
Well, you said when he was freaking out, you went from like tripping to like, okay, we're in it now.
Yeah. So the whole night I was still having like the visual symptoms of an acid trip, but like
your brain was like, I'm here, we're ready.
Yeah.
So when was the last time you took acid?
I think I kept doing it. I think after that night I stopped doing it as frequently.
Yeah.
I did it a handful more times after that. But I think the last time I did it was probably like a year after I graduated high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a big thing where you're like, oh, this is the last time I'm going to do it. You just did it and then you were kind of like, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. Pretty much. The last time I took acid, I remember just like not enjoying. Not I didn't necessarily have like a bad trip per se, but I didn't enjoy it.
It wasn't as much fun.
Yeah, I think acid is one of those things that you do a couple times and then you're over it.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. That's kind of.
It's very much not an addicting drug. Like I never had the urge, like, oh, I got a trip tonight. You know what I mean? Like it's not an addicting thing at all.
It's weird because as many drugs as I've done and as much alcohol as I've drank, alcohol was always the thing where it was like, no matter what, like I want to keep drinking. Like even cocaine.
I love.
But like even that, it was
I don't really have that many crazy cocaine stories. I just fucking love it, dude. Oh my god, I fucking love it.
How you feel about that is how I felt about drinking because I did a lot of like. I tell that story about spending all that money in Daytona was from cocaine.
Yeah, dude, the coke in Vegas is so good. Oh my god,
it has to be.
Yeah, you're from Florida. Yeah, so you
have the bit where you're like, I'm not gonna do it. That's a great bit.
Oh yeah, I do have that bit. Yeah,
that's like one of my favorite bits.
Thank you. I'm proud of that.
That was one of the bits that when I heard it, I was like, this guy. He knows what we're talking about. You're too far from the source.
Yeah.
It's so funny how you take burritos and you're like, not so fast.
Yeah. Dude, you know what's funny? So for the uninitiated, those of you who aren't big fans of my stand-up, I have a bit about comparing the Mexican food in New York to the cocaine in New York. I won't do either because we're too far from Mexico. That's basically what the bit's about. Anyways, I saw New York City Mexican food the other night, and I'm not even doing a bit. It made me gag looking at it. Yeah,
because in Nevada, it
like
used to be Mexico.
We have like it was Mexico like less than 200 years ago. Like it was Mexico like in like the late
1846 was
I think
the war.
was the war
on Mexico.
Yeah. So that's when Nevada became America. Yeah.
When President Polk was like, oh, we're going to go there for protection, really, he was just inciting a war.
My favorite bit about the Mexican-American War is that we conquered all of Mexico, and the reason we didn't put the rest of Mexico in America is because nobody wanted, like, they were all, like, too racist to have Mexicans in the country. Yeah.
That was a huge thing.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people who were anti-war, and you're like, oh, that's good. They're anti-war. They're anti-invasion. It's like, no, we don't. Literally, in the book, one of the books I read, it's like, we don't want the subhumans invading our Anglo-Saxon. And you're like, whoa, I thought you guys just didn't want to fight them.
Yeah. And I always thought that was so funny, like racism against Mexicans, because like they're from Spain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like
they're European.
Yeah.
They're more European than English are.
Yeah. England isn't even in Europe. Yeah. I don't get it. If anything, the Mexicans are more white than the English. I don't.
100%.
Yeah.
So that must have been a culture shock getting to New York because
Yeah, the different like ethnic neighborhoods, I guess you call it here, are interesting. Also, like the different kinds of white people.
Yeah,
because like in Vegas and the Western U.S. in general, I'm white, but like here I'm Irish. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of people take a lot of pride in like their
that's
subsects.
not a thing at all.
Like when I say I'm from Astoria, and they're like, oh, a lot of Greeks there, and I'm like, it's just a lot of white people speaking languages I don't understand.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know who they are.
Right.
Yeah, that is true because it's the same thing in Florida. It's either you're white, black, or in Florida it's Cuban.
Yeah.
Because I think it was Adam Ferrara. A comic had a really good joke where it couldn't have been Adam Ferrara. It was a comic where he was like, when I'm in Florida, I'm Cuban. Yeah. When I'm in California, I'm Mexican.
In New York, you're Puerto Rican or Dominican.
Yeah. In New York, I'm Dominican. Yeah. So it's like a weird thing. But when did you first do cocaine?
I think I did it once in high school, but when I started doing comedy, I got into it.
I love how you paint this picture of like, and it was my interpretation where you're like, no, I wasn't into drinking, man. I was using the fake ID to go do stand-up, the performance, the art. You're like, I also got really into cocaine.
Yeah. I was doing that. That did not, I'll be honest, that didn't happen. I did stand-up for 5 years in Vegas. Yeah. That didn't happen, like, I don't know, for like the first 2.
Okay, so for a while you were actually
I was
stand-up.
I was literally just doing nothing but stand-up for like the first couple of years. But yeah, once I like, I think it took, because I was so young, I think it took a little bit for the other comics in Vegas to see me as like an adult. Yeah, I don't know if equal's the right word, because I don't think anyone like disrespected my comedy. But I mean, meaning that like like they thought of me as like a younger brother.
Yeah.
Kind of. So it took
Yeah.
it took a minute for me to get invited to the cocaine parties. Is what I'm saying. You know?
Yeah, I got you. Because they're
Yeah.
like, we got to look out for Parker.
Yeah, they were like everyone in Vegas was very protective.
It's like that Dewey
yeah.
Cox scene when he walks in. You don't want none of this, Dewey Cox.
Yeah.
You don't want none of this,
Yeah.
Parker.
No, I should specify. I never became like a coke. Like I never like.
Yeah, you don't seem very cokeheady.
Yeah, I'm not. I never was like a like doing it every day kind of thing. But
Yeah.
like, yeah,
But
I
when
like
you did it, you
I
liked
did
it.
the nights I did, I had a good time.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because
To me, the feeling is. I don't know how you feel about this, but to me, the feeling, the best way to describe it is it's the exact same feeling I get when I do really well on stage.
Yeah,
It's
I mean
the-
that checks out.
Yeah, but I don't do it anymore. Partially because I'm in New York, but also like
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I love about that bit. It's so true.
Yeah.
Like there's
It's
so
the-
much truth behind that.
Thank you. But yeah, and then like my last year I was in Vegas, a lot like the coke really went through the Vegas comedy scene, and I knew like a lot of guys that like ruined their lives. So that kind of turned me off doing it. So I don't do any drugs anymore besides pot.
Yeah. When you were working, because I wanted to get to this. We got time. We got to get to the Coolio story, but I also want to get to this.
Yeah.
When did you start doing the tour guide thing? Because
Started doing
again,
the
a
tour
lot
guide-
of this goes to back to
Oh,
your
you want to hear a
bits.
fucking crazy tour guide
Yeah.
story? Oh my god. Okay.
So you were a tour guide at the Hoover Dam, the
And
Grand,
the
Canyon.
Yeah. So I did. I started doing that.
Do they have tour guides in Vegas?
They have tour guides in Vegas. I didn't do city tours, but yeah, I
Yeah.
did. So I did tours like from Vegas to the canyon. Like you
Okay.
pick people up at the Strip and then take them out
How
to
far
the
is that
canyon.
drive?
It's like we went to the shitty part of the Grand Canyon, the West Rim. So that's like 2 hours from
Okay.
Vegas. The real like national park is like 4 hours, but we
Okay.
went to the shitty part of the Grand Canyon.
Got it.
And there's a shitty part of the Grand Canyon. It's called the West Rim of the Grand Canyon. It sucks.
The West Rim. Fuck off.
Boo. Yeah. It's gay. It's the gay canyon. Yeah. Can I say gay on this podcast? Okay.
whatever you want.
All right. So yeah, I started.
Clip it.
Yeah. He's canceled. I started doing the tour guide gig like
No more Mike's the Truth.
yeah. I started doing the tour guide gig probably like 2 years after I graduated high school.
Okay.
Yeah, like right at like 2021, 22.
And
yeah.
why was that? How did that?
So it was the company I worked for was called Comedy on Deck Tours.
Okay.
And they only hired stand-up comics to do
Oh,
the
that's a
tours.
smart thing, yeah.
It's a really great idea actually, because like a lot of it's not like necessarily like stand-up, but there's a lot of similar skills. Like if you're a good comic, you could probably be a good tour guide.
Same thing with waiting tables.
Yeah, it's a lot of similar skills.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that for a couple of years. It was great. I had a really good time until I didn't. There was a.
So you ended up not going to college. You
I
were
ended
just-
up not going. So I was like really good at school. Like I could have gone to any school I wanted to, but I graduated high school class of 2020.
Okay.
So like the pandemic was happening, and I was like, I don't want to pay a bunch of tuition money to go to Zoom classes.
Yeah, fuck
so
that.
I'm gonna hold off on college till the pandemic's over, and then I really fell in love with stand up then, and I was like,
That's smart.
Yeah, and then I started doing the tour guide gig, and I make
working for tips.
yeah, I work as I made as much as a tour guide. I actually make a little less to be as a tour guide in New York than I did in Vegas, which is weird to think about. But
Yeah, because that price
Yeah.
of living index is going to be way higher.
Yeah, I'm doing fine in New York. I'm not like
Yeah.
poor by any means, but yeah, I was doing very well.
You're
in
crushing
Vegas.
in
Yeah, I was
Vegas.
crushing in Vegas. So I was like, no, I was living
Well,
my
and also tips. Tips
Yeah,
are hard in
yeah,
New York because
tips
you get
are
a lot
hard
of
in New
European
York.
tourists. And
Yes,
they're like, I don't tip for
exactly.
anything.
That's the main
Yeah.
difference thing. And also, I was living with my parents, so I
Yeah.
was chilling. Anyways, I did that for a couple of years, and then we got into I still did it after this, but I took a while off because our bus crashed at the canyon.
What?
Yeah, it was like a really
Like going to the canyon?
yeah, like right before we got to the canyon, the bus
What happened?
so we're going into the canyon. There's a parking lot between the road and the parking lot. There's this dirt ditch, and there's still an investigation. There's an active lawsuit about it, but there's still an investigation. One way or another, this turn was a little too sharp, and we ended up in the ditch, and that flipped the bus over. And I was fine, but a lot of people weren't. And that kind of
Is it like a double decker bus?
Yeah, no, it was a coach, like 50-seater bus.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So yeah, it was not a great situation.
Oh my God, I couldn't
Yeah,
imagine.
Yeah.
People probably got seriously hurt.
Somebody died, yeah.
What?
Yeah. So that I really
And then you were just like, I'm out.
I know. So I took a couple months off.
Yeah.
And I still have like traumatic. I'm actually diagnosed with PTSD from it. Like it was a very traumatic day.
Yeah, I've been in a couple fender benders, and now when
Yeah.
someone else drives, I'm like this the
Yeah.
whole time. I couldn't imagine being in a
Dude, when the
bus
train
that
and
flips.
and I was standing up when it flipped, and it's like literally a miracle I didn't fly through the front windshield.
Yeah.
I was actually really proud of my reflexes. I tucked and rolled, and I landed on my shoulder, and then I crawled out through the broken window.
Dude, that's fucking
Dude,
horrible.
the people sitting right next to me had like big giant cuts on them from the broken glass, and I was just like completely unscathed. It was
wow.
So there was 57 of us in total on the bus, counting me and the driver. 48 had to be hospitalized, and I was one of the 12 that wasn't.
Wow.
10 or 12, something like that.
And then you ended up going back after that.
Yeah, so I took a couple months off, and I drove around the country, and I just went to like national parks and visited friends and just.
Are you a big park guy?
I love national parks.
Okay.
Dude. I fucking love national parks. But yeah, I went and drove around for a couple months doing that, and then I came back. I did the job for probably about another year after I came back. And
this whole time, are you saving money to move to New York?
Yeah. The whole
was that in your head? Like,
honestly, the bus crash is a big reason I moved to New York.
Okay.
That
you're like, I'm doing subways from now on.
Yeah. That kind of like I still did the job, and I have nothing but great things to say about the tour company I worked for over there. They're awesome. Like, accidents happen. It's not it's nobody's fault. But that whole thing kind of like made me not like the job as much as I used to.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah.
So from there,
and then after that, I started dating my girlfriend around that same time. Yeah. And her and I took a vacation to New York. November 23, we took a vacation to New York, and then that's when we both kind of wanted to start living here. Yeah.
So before that vacation, obviously doing stand-up, was it always in your head to get to a bigger city?
Before that, yes.
Okay.
I think if you had asked me back then, I would have just said LA, because LA is so but LA is like literally a 4-hour drive from Vegas.
It's close.
And I kind of wanted to, after the bus crash, I really wanted to like just completely change my life. So I'm like, I want to go to the opposite side of the country.
Yeah.
And
well, and plus New York's
cool, dude. LA sucks.
Well, and also you were into stand-up.
Yeah.
Like, people say this all the time. If you want to be a stand-up, you come to New York. If you want to be famous, you go to LA.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
There's a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, being famous would be cool, but I don't it's not like my goal in life.
Yeah.
I just want to I want to not have a job. That's my goal. I want to not have a job.
It is so weird too, because like when I'm off from the restaurant today, I'm off from the restaurant.
I fucking hate having a job.
But it's so funny because like people will be like, oh, because I only work 4 days a week at the restaurant. And people are like, oh, you have 3 days off. And I go, no, off from here.
Yeah.
I was like, I recorded, this will be my second podcast of 3 today. It's like, I've got a lot of shit going on my days off.
Right.
But this doesn't seem like work.
Right.
Whereas
exactly.
like when you're like, oh, I have to be there at 6, I'm going to have to be there till like 12 o'clock at night.
Right.
No matter what happens, you're stuck there. Like I
right.
completely understand that whole like.
Yeah. And then I took the vacation to New York, and I just fucking fell in love with the place, dude. It's awesome. It's a really cool city. And then
it's the best.
Yeah, it's like actually like everything people say about New York. Like, oh yeah, it's
sometimes I hate it.
It's no, definitely, yeah, but it's as cool as they say it is.
It's as cool as advertised.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you're like on the platform and you have to get somewhere, and then it says the train's coming in 2 minutes, and then it doesn't come for 17 minutes.
Or when I have to go to
I want to burn this place down.
Or when I have to go to Queens and I have to figure out what the 2 numbers and then the dash and the other 2. What the fuck?
You literally were like, I'm at this avenue, and I go, you're 2 stops away.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I clicked on the address you gave me, and I go, that's the address I live at. I don't understand what your
I don't know what
phone
happened. Dude, I have terrible luck getting around in Queens. The whole thing, this borough confuses me.
The dash thing is really
The dash
fucked.
thing confuses me. And there's like, it'll be like 39th Avenue, and then it'll be like 39th Street.
And then 39th Road and 39th Circle.
Yeah, fuck
There's
that.
like
What the
a
fuck are
ton
you guys
of-
doing here?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm new here. I was in Midtown for like 3 years.
Yeah.
I just moved here.
Yeah.
The dash thing is kind of weird.
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to talk to you about, the Coolio story.
Oh, yeah. So Coolio, before he passed away, God rest his soul.
God rest his soul.
He lived in Vegas.
Did he really?
Contrary to popular belief, did not live in a gangster's paradise. He lived in Henderson, Nevada. And he was a really big fan of open mic comedy.
Get the fuck out of here.
He was at open mics all the time. And yeah.
Coolio.
Gangster's Paradise Coolio was at open mics like every night.
That's nuts.
Yeah. And him and I became, like, I wouldn't say we were like friends, but like I went to his house and we smoked
You have his
pot.
number?
I do have his number. Yeah.
You're friends.
Yeah.
I
Well, I mean, he's dead now.
Well,
so
yeah, but you were friends.
Yeah.
I call it the Desert Island test. And this is something, because I used to always tell my ex, who's not supportive of my career at all, I would be like, oh, I know that person. Like, we'd see someone on the TV and I go, I know that person. Or, oh, that's a friend of mine. And she goes, do you really know that person? Or are you just saying you know that person? And this is the way I always clarify it. And moving forward, this has always worked. I always say, if we got dropped on a desert island, me and this person, and then like 100 random people, they would see me and go, "Oh, I know that guy."
Yeah.
So that is the barometer of which.
Okay.
Is
Well,
my,
that qualification,
so you,
yeah.
you knew Coolio. You were cool with Coolio.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, he's a nice guy. He got really into cooking in his later years. He had a book called Cooking with Coolio. Yeah.
Love the alliteration.
Yeah.
So when you went to his house to smoke?
Yeah, to smoke, and we had dinner. It was
You're saying this like it's no big deal. It's fucking Coolio.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But yeah, so he was really good buddies with another comic that I knew, and then I was friends with that comic. So yeah, the three of us.
Is it a huge house?
It was like a nice house. It wasn't like a mansion, but it was a nice house. Yeah.
That's always a crazy thing too when you meet famous people who are not as famous anymore.
Yeah. There's a lot of those in Vegas.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like not so like OJ lived in Vegas before he died. Nick Cage is in Vegas. Paulie's in Vegas. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also, I mean, we see it in New York too, but it's interesting because like there are comics that like before the social media, like they kind of missed the window.
Sure.
Like they were really big in the 90s and early 2000s, but then that kind of petered out. They never got a sitcom.
Yeah.
And then they were too late for like the social media boom.
Sure.
So they're great comics, but they're kind of in that weird, awkward space.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like I'll run into them and they live like in the same kind of apartments I do. And I'm like, yeah, but you were on like late night and Comedy Central Presents and stuff. They're like, yeah, it just wasn't what it is now.
Sure.
So it is that weird kind of like, oh yeah, this is just a guy who lives in Vegas who likes to cook for us and smoke weed.
Yeah. Flavor Flav lives in Vegas. Flavor Flav's the sweetest guy in the world.
Is he?
Flavor Flav's really nice. A buddy of mine had a flat tire and he was pushing his car into the gas station, and Flavor Flav helped him push his car.
Get out of
Yeah,
here.
Flavor Flav is like, everybody loves Flavor Flav, dude. Everybody in Vegas loves. Everybody loves Carrot Top too. Carrot Top's a super nice guy. Yeah.
I've heard that about
Carrot
him.
Top used to go out to like
Florida boy.
Yeah, he used to go out to this bar show in this little town in Nevada called Boulder City. You'd see him there a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Is he still doing his thing out
Dude, he's
there?
been at the Luxor for 19 years now. Same room.
I saw him live.
Yeah.
This was when I was 14. The only trip I ever took to Vegas, I was 14. I went with a friend of mine and his family because they would go like 4 times a year.
Yeah.
And I remember we went to see Carrot Top.
Yeah.
And he had all the like the prop. And I remember.
King of prop comedy, dude.
Yeah, like I remember not liking prop comedy because I like for the last 2 years, because I started watching stand up when I was 12.
Yeah.
I was like into like Greg Giraldo
Yeah.
and like Mitch Hedberg and those guys. And I remember when they said we were going, I was like, this is gonna be stupid. And then I remember seeing
actually
it.
a great show.
I could
Yeah.
not stop laughing. I was
Yeah.
like, this dude is the best.
You know who's a really great prop comic, also a Vegas guy? Bob Zaney. He was huge in like the 70s, and he's still performing in Vegas, and he does prop comedy,
That's
and it's
crazy
hilarious.
that you can just keep it going.
Yeah,
Tosh has.
that's very common in Vegas. Like there are guys that are like well-known-ish, and they never like got like, you know, famous,
Yeah.
but you know they make a good living because they've been at they have a residency gig, and that's really big in Vegas. Is the
the residency, because I know
Yeah.
Tosh has one.
Yeah.
Where he like performs like twice a month.
Yeah.
So he just comes out from LA, does
Yeah.
it, and then goes back.
Good buddy of mine. I don't know if you know John Caparulo.
Oh, yeah.
So he's
Kent State.
Yeah, he's in Vegas now, and
He's in Vegas.
he's been in Vegas for a couple years. Yeah.
Wow.
So he does, I think, 2 nights a week at Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club. Makes, you know, pretty decent from that, and then he's on the road every weekend.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We got to go back to Vegas.
John's great, dude. I love John.
John's
I opened for John at his Kimmel's residency for like a year and a half.
Really?
Yeah. John's I have nothing great things to say about John.
This
He's
is
a
awesome
wonderful
because
guy.
normally when I have people on here who are younger, it's always like, yeah, I've been doing comedy for like 6 months. And you're like, yeah, dude, I've been at this for like 7 years.
Yeah. 5.
Five,
Yeah. Yeah.
excuse me. Well, coming up on 6.
Coming up on 6 this year. Yeah.
Let's go, dude.
Yeah.
This was fun, man. Plug
Yeah.
everything one more time.
At Parker Tell Joke on everything social media. Friday nights, Ernie O'Malley's on
Oh.
27th, and most Saturdays at 6, the Comedy Shop on Bleecker.
Let's do it.
do it.
Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. At Brennan T. Comedy on all social media, BrennanTComedy.com. Get your tickets for the Bro Adjacent Tour. Connecticut, Boston, Florida, New York. We're all over the place. I'll be in LA. Oh, LA was great. By the way, thank you so much for asking, because I'll be back by the time this comes out, and we'll talk to y'all next week. Boom. Dude, that was fun.
I had a great time, man.